So the sixth Doctor, firmly established in his own season, begins with Attack of the Cybermen. And gotta say, hadn't seen it in a while. This was a really good adventure. I was kind of like, when's it gonna get terrible? It really doesn't. It has its flaws, and there's stumbles here and there. And as gorgeous and beautiful as Nicole Bryant is, which excuses an awful lot, she's not really skilled quite there. But it kind of works anyway because of the kind of quirky nature of her character, and that she's just sort of thrown into this, and everything's messed up, and she's got to cling to the Doctor despite him being an arrogant asshole. Through the whole thing. So even that, I think it still works, Plus, again, she's just absolutely beautiful. So what's even extra about this is all the cool stuff of tying in to past Doctor Who episodes, both new and old. So of course it's the Cybermen, so there's a lot of history there. And so this ties into elements of the 10th planet and the Tomb of the Cybermen. Most notably, the Tomb of the Cybermen introduced the Cyber Controller. Supposed to have been destroyed in that one. No, managed to make it. Oh boy, I haven't seen that before. Oh yeah, a lot of villains just survive certain death. And then, of course, the original Cybermen story of 10th Planet with Mondas and all that, and it getting destroyed. Well, the whole plot here is the Cybermen, we want a do-over. We're going to change that. So, initially, we get the Doctor dealing with the Chameleon Circuit again. And this time, he's just going to fix it himself. He doesn't need to go to Legopolis or any of that stuff. He's just, I should have done. I don't know why I didn't do this before. Well, he tried to. So that's kind of a stumble there. But then again, you can chalk it up to his persona. And even Perry comments on this. I still think you're not fully adjusted. What? I'm fine. Maybe not, And this is actually a bit of a transformative journey for Colin's Doctor in this episode by the end. And finally it connects itself to one of the threads of the resurrection of the Daleks, where you had a Lighten in there, and the other two creepy constables. And they just wandered off down the street after the Daleks plan failed and all that. Well, he's still around now. He's supposed to be some sort of jewel thief and apply, but turns out, no, he's working for someone else. Oh, he's offering his services to the Cybermen, huh? Well, you're sort of led to believe that, but no, that's not what he's doing. So, meanwhile, the Doctor has seemingly corrected the Chameleon Circuit, so you see the TARDIS turn into this, I don't know, a rather decorative dresser, I guess. Later on, it turns into an organ, and then finally some weird door. I don't know. But anyway, so that was just a stunt by John Nathan Turner in the hopes that would spark interest and that they would keep the TARDIS changing as they go. But and they never address it again. I mean, within the story, it's that it changes shape, but it picks odd objects to turn into, which defeats the point, to where it's blatantly obvious, and so it doesn't quite work. And eventually, I guess it goes back to its default setting, which is the police box. And I guess you just have to fill in the blank and guess. The Doctor says, I still can't figure it out, and that on its own, it's just going to keep going back to the police box, perhaps, and it's just he just can't quite get it to work, and leave it at that. I guess, I don't know. But other things of interest is that it lands in the Totters Lane scrapyard where everything began and all that. So, little nuggets here and there. That's good for Doctor Who fans. I remember hearing complaints about this isn't explained and all that stuff, but it's not necessary to explain it. If you're a Doctor Who fan who's aware of the history and everything, then you get it all. If not, then it doesn't really matter, because the ultimate plot is, the Cybermen are plotting to destroy the Earth again. And that's that. So the jewel heist is all set up for Lighten, who wants to get to the Cybermen. He knows they're there. As we will later learn, he's working for another group of people. All right, the Cryons. I'm just going to get to the point. The original inhabitants of the planet Telos, who were thought to have been extinct, actually went into hiding underground and all this sort of stuff. But the Cybermen wanted to utilize the planet for cryogenic stasis reasons, so that they, could be in hibernation, and it'd be a good base for them to operate from and all that for those purposes. Since it's people were the Cryons, they knew a lot about cryogenic freezing. Get it? So, but anyway, they were supposed to have been wiped out. Surprise, they weren't, and Lighten is working for them. So the heist was just to get to the tunnels where he was looking for where the the secret base of the Cybermen on Earth there, who are setting up the plot to use Halley's Comet to hit the Earth, so that it'll be so devastated it will not be much of a counter to Mondas, and therefore Mondas would not be destroyed, and Earth would instead be destroyed, and so Mondas can take its place in orbit and all that. So changing history and breaking all the laws of time, which is why the Doctor later finds out, yes, he's been manipulated into this by the Time Lords, which is an interesting thing that I thought should have been emphasized. And really it was. It's not all that fair on my part to say that, because quite a few times the Doctor figures out, the Time Lords did this to me, and that they make use of him. And so that goes a long way in explaining, boy, the TARDIS just seems to show up at the right point for the Doctor to be of use to some nefarious plot. Of course, if it didn't, there'd be no show. So everything goes wrong. People getting killed in the sewers. Oh, there's a monster. Well, it's Cybermen. And of course, the Doctor and Perry get captured, and they're forced to take the Cybermen in the TARDIS and all that sort of stuff. And he meets up with Light and says, this a-hole again, because he recognizes him from the Dalek story, and just immediately assumes he's up to no good. And this is why that becomes important for the Doctor's character development later on. So they get back to Telos, and the Doctor is shocked to discover the controller is still alive, but he's alive. And turns out there's another little subplot going on about these two guys who had a time travel capable ship, but the Cybermen stole it because they want to use a time machine for their plot. So meanwhile, they've been enslaved, and this is how they do it. They slowly but surely turn these slaves into Cybermen. So they've already no longer, their legs and arms are no longer human anymore, and all that sort of thing. And just shows you the sinister thing about it. But some people, apparently, the process doesn't work very well, so they're just kind of stuck the way they are. But they end up killing a Cyberman so they can get his helmet and impersonate it. So I guess they cleaned it out, So there's that bit. They end up teaming up with Lighten in the hopes that they can capture the time ship. It doesn't work. They all get killed, except Lighten gets captured and is brutally tortured. And there was a complaint about the violence in this episode, and there is a lot of it. And it's not just off camera or anything. And of course, the Cybermen are exploding everywhere, getting beheaded, all that good stuff. But at one point, this police officer shoots a Cyberman directly in the face. I've forgotten all about that, and I'm rewatching it like, holy crap. And then, but Lighten is probably the worst of all, as far as, being really violent. I don't mind it, but, parents groups and stuff will get upset because the Cybermen are trying to force him to talk. He won't do it, and so they start crushing his hands. And they cut to another scene. You come back, and his hands are just drenched in blood, and he drops to the ground, and there's blood smeared on the floor. Wow, that's about as grisly as it gets for old Doctor Who. So, and then they're like, all right, hook him up. We're gonna turn him into a Cyberman, So it doesn't end well for poor Lytton. So in the meantime, the Doctor meets the leader of the Cryons. The Cryons rescue Perry, and the leader, explains what's going on. And it turns out they locked her up in a room filled with explosive materials, but they aren't explosive as long as they stay below freezing. But it's actually very cold outside, but it's not cold enough for the Cryons. So once you get outside, you die, which is ultimately what happens to the queen of the Cryons. That Cybermen kill her that way. But it's like, hey, we got all these explosives. And so the Doctor makes good use of that. He doesn't have his sonic screwdriver because Nathan Turner thought that was too silly, so he got rid of it. Okay. Although he'd have a much better case today because now the sonic screwdriver is just, a magic wand. He thought it was being too much of a magic wand then. Oh boy, if only you could see it now. But instead, the Doctor has not a sonic laser, but a sonic lance. That's what it was. He was using that as a tool, so it's like, well, he's got another little space age tool. Anyway, that becomes important for igniting the explosives, and it blows up the whole place in the end. But towards the end, after Perry explains that Lytton was actually on the side of the Angels, so the Doctor's like, "Oh, he was? Oh!" So he dashes over to the cyber headquarters or whatever, and tries to save Lytton. Lytton says, "No, just kill me. It's over." And ends up, the controller shows up, and then Lytton helps the Doctor overcome him, but ultimately is killed. And the Doctor, once again, grabs a gun and just starts shooting Cybermen. It actually gets two of them to shoot each other. It's always funny. The Three Stooges move. And then he makes damn sure the controller's dead. He just shoots it. And then the Doctor he's all upset about Lytton. He says, why didn't he just tell me? And why didn't, I totally misjudged him. And it's a moment of humility for him. And it's kind of this thing that he's still very arrogant and all that sort of stuff, and he's being dismissive of people and stuff. But this brought it home to him, and he's like, damn it, and he died in this horrible way, and I didn't see it. And so it's a good moment. It's a little too quick, the delivery, and a lot of this elements, they had some cool elements that I thought needed a little time put on it, and probably needed to be reshot and stuff. But overall, it's a very strong story, and works pretty well. Minor little stumbles here and there are not enough to derail it. So I think it's worthy of praise, and it probably, if not the best, one of the best of Colin Baker's run here. Interestingly enough, it's the Cybermen again, which I said I thought Earthshock was Peter Davison's best. And they reused the music from there, which you had to. I mean, come on. It's one of the best villain theme songs from Doctor Who that they did, and it's really good. They should probably keep doing that, but oh well. But anyway, all in all, this was a really good one, and played well, and Colin Baker was on point here, and a good, very good Doctor Who adventure for all involved. I mean, depending on what age a child is to see it, I guess people could have a point about some of the violence there, and it could have been handled differently, but I don't personally mind it. It's like, it just shows just how evil and sinister the Cybermen were, So it's also something that could be revisited here and there, I suppose. You could even do it where it turns out Lytton did survive, and it didn't well, the base blew up, but that's, maybe there was some shielding there or something. Whatever you want to do, and plus, the time ship, maybe that's not so badly damaged. Oh, yeah, and they even had zombie Cybermen in this one because the Cryons were messing with their hibernation, so they came out all messed up and stupid and were killing the other Cybermen, so they had to put them down. But the Cybermen don't feel anything, so they weren't crying over them like old Yeller. Anywho, but it isn't just Anywho. It's Doctor Who. That's who. And yeah, this was a good one, a very good one.